Welcome to another edition of Win TV. I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes, and I'm so glad to have you here with us with Washington Informer News, bringing you news that matters. And we do this every week here on, I can't even call this a channel, can I? WIN TV channel, that's what it is, Washington Informer TV channel. Is that right, Chevy?
Yes.
And so for those of you all who already subscribe, you know where you are. I'm just kind of trying to figure it out. But yeah, I'm the publisher. And of course, we love, for those of you all who are watching us on Facebook, we're asking you to like us and to follow us as well on Twitter and TikTok, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Washington Informer News TV. I hope you picked up a copy of the most recent issue of the Washington Informer. This is it on the streets, on newsstands right now, and in neighborhoods throughout the community, in the DMV. But if you're not in the DMV, or if you haven't been able to go out and pick up a copy of the Informer, we certainly would invite you to read it on our website at WashingtonInformer.com, our digital website at WashingtonInformer.com. I'm always excited to share the issue with you, and also to let you know that quarterly we do a health supplement and or special issue. And this week, our special health, wellness, and nutrition supplement is included. No extra price because the paper's free. And how do we make money? Through advertising support. And so for those of you all who do support us through advertising, I can't thank you enough, because you're the ones that help to keep the doors open and keep the paper printing and keep the stories coming on our website and through social media and all of that. Everything you do helps to support what we do for you, for our community. We've got an exciting show filled with a whole lot of information today. And so we're so happy to have Dr. V back with us again, because there's so much we know that's going on as it relates to this COVID-19 pandemic, which is still a pandemic. It hasn't left us. And so now there are new variants out there. We want to talk about the Delta variant with Dr. V. And also, you know, this is Black Business Month in August. And we are making sure that every week we take time out to spotlight a local Black business. So this week we're going to be speaking with Michelle Carswell, owner of Morgan Rell's Cake and Baking Supply Store. She's going to be with us today. And we're talking about a supply store. You know, we always talk about people who are selling cakes or selling cupcakes or whatever the case may be, but she has the supplies you need to make sure that your business continues to move smoothly. So we look forward to talking to her. And we'll also share a video from the grand opening of our favorite bookstore, Mahogany Books, as we announced last week, and it happened on last Saturday. Mahogany Books opened its newest location at the National Harbor. And so Chevy Lassiter was out there, and we got a clip from the owners of Mahogany Books, and so we're going to share that with you. And later we will talk to John Ayala, a member of the Guardian Angels, who will be sharing some ideas and solutions and reflections and observations about the violence that's been growing rampant in our community, and not only here in Washington, D.C., but all over the country. And so the Guardian Angels, as you know, have always been at the forefront of trying to end violence in communities. And we're so glad that John will be with us as well to talk about what's happening here in the DMV. Prince George's County reporter William Ford will be speaking with Jerry Green, senior advisor on census issues for the National Urban League, about the recent report from the 2020 census. You know, before we couldn't stress enough about the importance of taking the 2020 census, and now the results are in and redistricting begins. But there are a whole lot of other things that may be beginning as well as we look at those numbers. And it's interesting what this report shows us. And so we look forward to Will Ford's conversation with Jerry Green. I also wanted to take a moment to express condolences to Sam Ford, the reporter here that we all know and love, who has worked with WJLA Channel 7 for many, many years, and has done a great job at covering at least the Ward 8 community, and has served as sort of I've served as his co-host when we do the annual Martin Luther King Parade here in January. Sam lost his wife, Gloria Murray Ford, who passed away yesterday in Wichita, Kansas. And many of you all who are in the community probably know Gloria. She's has served this community as well for a long time, doing public relations for lots of government agencies and nonprofit organizations and individuals. And so she succumbed to a long illness. And so we want to keep our prayers going and keep the family lifted for Sam and his children. So before we bring on our first guest, let's hear from our broadcast reporter, Curtis Knowles.
This is WIN TV News, bringing you the news that matters. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo resigned Tuesday amid intense pressure stemming from a sexual misconduct scandal. Cuomo states, "My instinct is to fight through this controversy because I truly believe it is politically motivated. I believe it is unfair and untruthful. The Democratic governor's resignation will take effect in approximately 2 weeks." Cuomo continues to deny the allegations, but said Tuesday that he apologized to those that he, quote, truly offended. All but 2 Maryland counties are in the substantial or high transmission zones, according to data from the CDC. The CDC measures community transmission by evaluating metrics, including new cases per capita over the past week, and the 7-day average of testing of positivity rates. The 2 counties in the moderate levels are Carroll and Queen Anne County. The higher substantial community transmission status of a majority of the local jurisdictions in Maryland come as the state inches closer to having 60% of its population fully vaccinated. Northern Virginia's Stafford County Public Schools began their new academic year this Monday. The county is the first in the D.C. area to welcome its more than 30,000 students back to in-person learning. Superintendent Scott Kisner said masks will be mandated, and students and teachers are intended to wear masks except during lunch, recess, and gym. "I think people are just ready to get back to a regular routine," says Kinzer. A viral video of Metropolitan Police assaulting a Southeast D.C. resident has resulted in the officers possibly facing criminal charges. The names of the officers have yet to be reported. The young man who the officer struck in the video, as well as another who was arrested at the scene, have since been released with no charges. Metropolitan Police Department Chief Robert Conti said, "I'm embarrassed, discouraged, and ashamed in regards to the video." The case has been referred to the U.S. Attorney's Office with administration action soon to follow. This is Curtis Knowles with WIN TV News.
Thank you so much, Curtis, and we appreciate those updates. A lot of stories, a lot of events happening this week, and we're so glad that the Washington Informer has been there to cover it, and Curtis to share that with us. So we're going to welcome Dr. V back. Dr. V, God.
Hi, how are you?
You would have thought that you went away and COVID went away, but you're back and COVID's back. So
exactly.
I welcome you, but I certainly don't welcome COVID. How have you been doing first?
I've been doing great. I've been doing very good.
Good. So, I mean, I know you probably scratching your head and saying, or you probably knew, from a medical standpoint that we were not out of the woods. No. And so now we're looking at there's something called a Delta variant. We're also looking at this term called breakthrough cases, where people that are vaccinated are still coming down with COVID. So let's start with the breakthroughs first.
Well, actually, if we could start with the variants.
Okay.
Because that's kind of how you get the breakthroughs.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. And so there are 164 documented variants of COVID-19.
164.
164.
Wow.
Yes. Okay. So when we hear about the Delta variant, we need to make sure we understand that's only one of 164. So what happens is we talk about it in the public for the ones that are clinically significant. So there are 3 that are clinically significant. The Delta is the one that's spreading now. Right behind it is the Delta Plus, and right behind that is Lambda. So we have 3 variants out of the 164 that are clinically, what we call clinically significant. And so a breakthrough case is basically when you're vaccinated and you still catch COVID, and you may have no symptoms, or you may have very minor symptoms, and you can spread it, but you cannot spread it to the same extent that someone else could spread it. So for instance, if I'm unvaccinated, I could have hundreds of thousands of viruses in my nose and spread it for 14 to 21 days. If I'm vaccinated, might only have 100, and I'm only spread for 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So the predominant amount of the spread is still coming from the unvaccinated. But the breakthrough cases are when someone's vaccinated, they become positive. And then usually they have very mild symptoms or they may have no symptoms at all. The places where we're seeing breakthrough cases that are significant are people who are significantly immunocompromised. So, for instance, pregnancy is a significant immunocompromised state. They're now recommending the COVID vaccine for those that are pregnant. Also, transplant patients. People have lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, things like that. They've been on prednisone or steroids for a long period of time.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot. And then you started off. You talked about the three variants that we talk about. And so,
Yes.
with all of those 100 and what was the number again?
164.
164. Why are we only talking about three right now?
Because those three have been found to be clinically significant and actually break through. The
Okay,
other 161 seem to be covered by the vaccines that we have.
I got you. Okay, so it
Yeah.
sounds like this is in beginning to really understand the age of this virus. That it's not
Yes.
new, that it's
Right.
been around a long time, that many of
Mhm.
us probably already carried some kind of COVID. Would that be the case or not?
We didn't necessarily carry it. What happened was this virus actually mutated to the point where it could actually jump from person to person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a coronavirus. Coronavirus have been around for centuries. They just haven't necessarily been able to jump from human to human. So the first time we sort of saw that happen was with SARS and with MERS, which are also coronaviruses.
Mm-hmm.
But this COVID-19 is actually more infectious than those were.
Interesting. And so the other question I have, because we've gone through, everyone needs to get tested, everyone needs to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Now, for those who are vaccinated, are we going to be required to get tested again? I mean, is that something that should be a part of our protocol? I mean, does it matter?
Yeah, not really unless you're really sick.
I
So,
said,
if you're really sick, then someone may actually test you, but outside of that, getting tested is not necessarily important.
hmm. Okay. And what about the prevention? Is there any way to prevent? I mean, I know
Yeah.
vaccine, masks, all that. I mean, are we back to that, or is there anything new that we should
Well,
know?
the one thing is that mutations happen the more and the longer this goes on. So it's really important that as many people get vaccinated so you can really sort of clamp this thing down. One of the other things that I think is important is if people are not vaccinated and they begin to get symptoms, they need to know where they can get monoclonal antibodies. Because if you are unvaccinated, this Delta variant is a stronger variant. It is more efficient. It's making patients sicker. And you have to get the monoclonal antibodies within about 7 to 9 days. So if you're not vaccinated, I tell people know where you can get monoclonal antibodies if you get COVID-19. What I think is eventually going to happen is everyone's going to get exposed to COVID-19,
Hmm.
right? It's just a matter of if you're vaccinated or not. If you're vaccinated, you'll keep on going. If you're unvaccinated, you could wind up in the hospital or in the ICU.
Yeah, that's where I think I was trying to go with that question.
Yeah,
But also, we talk about children now, right?
yeah.
They're getting ready to go back to school. Some parents are very hesitant. They're concerned. Makes sense. They're worried
Hmm.
because particularly children under 12. What's your take on this?
Yeah, so if there was not a mask mandate in a school, I would not send my kids there if my kids were unvaccinated. So if I had kids that were 12 years old or less and there wasn't a very strict mask mandate, then I would actually keep them out of school. I think one thing that's important for a lot of parents is that, they talk about kids not necessarily getting as sick, but kids are getting sick with the Delta variant.
Yeah.
That's number one. And
Hmm.
then number two, you have to remember that there are risk factors for kids. When kids have asthma, when kids are a little husky or a little overweight, those kids do not do as well. So I don't want people to think that children are impenetrable because we are seeing, pediatric ICUs fill up. So if there's no mask mandate, I would not send my children there.
So, we still have, and thank you for that. And we still have vaccine resistors, people that just, I forget what
Yeah,
the term is, but, folks that just don't want to take it, don't believe in it.
right.
And I read an article recently where I think because the vaccine was still experimental, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but still experimental as all of us went to get these vaccines. But have we gotten past, when is the organization that sort of verifies medications?
Yeah,
When will they actually get the vaccines get that stamp of approval?
right.
Has it gotten it already, or how much longer do we have to go
So
before we?
yeah, so we're not really in an experimental protocol, because the experimental protocol is are the people who actually took it um, before it became widely available.
Right,
What we're in is we're in what they call EUA, which is basically emergency use
right,
authorization,
right.
which
Okay,
is before it's actually gone through the full approval with the FDA. I expect that we will have full approval by the FDA before Labor Day, because now there's tons of data on this, and it's been given to hundreds of millions of people worldwide, and people have been doing well.
right.
So I expect that we'll have full approval probably sometime before or around Labor Day. And once we do after that, you're going to see a lot of private employers and a lot of private businesses impose mandates. And you won't be able to do that much if you are not fully vaccinated. I think the other thing about the vaccines that I just want to say quickly is people think that they were developed quickly, and they were not. The messenger RNA technology is from the 70s. It was started to be developed during the 70s. And then it was further developed specifically for coronaviruses under the Obama administration. And President Obama actually had developed a vaccine for SARS. SARS and COVID 19 have 95% of the same DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So I want people to realize we had a fully functional vaccine for SARS. SARS just didn't hit our shores, right? So what they did was they actually changed the technology just a little bit so that they could actually work with this particular coronavirus rather than SARS. So this was just an adjustment on a technology that already existed and had started its first beginnings back in the mid 70s.
Interesting. So, we definitely appreciate all the time you've given to this and
Yeah.
talk to us about this. There are always more and more questions that people have. I think every week we're going to come up with more questions. And I'd like folks to know that we, on the Washington Informer website, we also have a fact check column, because there are a
Yeah.
lot of, what do you call them, untruths, rumors, all
Yes.
kinds of stuff going on out there. And so
Right.
we are trying to bring the truth to some of the concerns that people have. And
Right.
is there anything, Dr. Reed, that you know of that people keep saying about this virus, or again the vaccines, that you just, if you can make it clear that this is the reality and not rumor?
As
um,
far as the virus, as far as the
yeah,
vaccine,
yeah, vaccine or the virus itself.
oh, I mean, all you have to do is, look at the pictures on TV where Texas is setting up tents. I mean, this is real. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing. I mean, we're seeing this every day in the emergency department, and so this is absolutely real. And and I tell people, don't be shocked when it happens. I can't tell you how many people are, when I tell them they have COVID, they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it!" Right? And I'm kind of like, it's impacted a lot of people, and this
Yes.
is really, I have young people that are learning how to walk again, learning how to talk again, because they were in the ICU for 30 days.
Wow.
So all of the risk factors, I haven't been fully defined, and I just tell people it's just not something worth taking a chance.
Okay, well, I got one more question
Yeah.
before we go, and then
Okay.
is the rumor about infertility, that
Yes.
there's a belief that the vaccine will cause infertility. Can you address that?
Yes. So the vaccine has not been shown to impact infertility at all. In fact, they are actually recommending that it be given to pregnant women, because pregnant women are an immunocompromised state. And if a pregnant woman gets it, her child also gets the antibodies and has some protection, because right now a child could not be of that age, a newborn could not be vaccinated. So now I can tell you that people who come out of the ICU, a lot of them have problems with erectile dysfunction and with their fertility coming out of the ICU with COVID. When you actually come out of the ICU with COVID, you are almost, you're literally walking and talking, learning how to walk and talk all over again. So
Amazing.
I tell people, I remind people that COVID and getting sick with COVID will impact your fertility, but the vaccine will not.
Wow. That's a good note to end on. So, Dr. B,
Yes.
thank you so very much for joining us. Hopefully, we'll have you back real soon because
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Have a great one. Thank you. So we're going to turn now to Jerry Green and to talk about the census, and Will Ford, Prince George's County editor. Will, thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's all yours.
Thank you. How you doing, Ms. Green?
I'm doing well. Will, how you doing?
Doing fine. I just read, is it Ms. or Mrs.? I want to make sure I get the title right.
Man, you're gonna put all my business out. It's a Ms.
All right, Ms. Hey, I just want to be informed. Just want to make sure.
It's all good.
Thank you. Let's get right to it, shall we?
Yeah.
So, from some of the data you've been able to assess up to this point, what did you see?
Wow. Well, yesterday's census release was a fascinating snapshot of the United States. This America is more diverse and more multiracial than ever before. So these trends that we've been hearing about, the browning of America and all that, that we've seen over this last decade have no signs of slowing down. In fact, many would say that we have crossed a tipping point, a line of no return that will basically demand new ways, new paradigms for setting public policy and decision-making. So we're already beginning to see some of these implications. This fight to deny the browning of America, the multiracial population was measured at 9 million in 2010, and right now is 33.8 million, which was a 276% increase. So we're seeing things like voter suppression, denying voting rights to Black and brown populations. We're seeing increased domestic terrorism. And, all of this is a reflection of the changes, the demographic changes that are occurring in the United States. And on the other hand, we're seeing more diverse coalition building and political activism from our youth who are, saying we're not going back to those days. So that's what we're seeing, the actualization of this browning. We saw that America is aging, especially the white population. And for the first time in probably the history of this country, the white population dipped below a 60% majority race. So they're now 57%. The country is now 57% white. We've seen growth taking place in large metropolitan areas. Black people, as we know, we've known this. We didn't need anybody to tell us that we're moving back down south, And so all of this portends major shifts in economic and public policy, cultural trends, health, as we emerge out of the COVID pandemic, housing, political leadership, every aspect of our daily life. So, that's the reality of those numbers.
I forgot for those who may have, as a formal introduction of Ms. Jerry Green, she's Senior Advisor for the National Urban League for the 2020 census. And is it been 22 years you worked for the Census Bureau?
I did. I was a senior manager. I worked with vulnerable populations, working with all of our populations, racial and ethnic groups, to identify unique challenges, how, the obstacles that we see from our side on why we don't respond, why we distrust the census. How can the Census Bureau improve increase our count? And that was the side I worked with, working with civil rights organizations and national leaders on issues across, from American Indians to our own population, African Americans and Latinos, Asians, everybody.
Now, you mentioned a little bit about trust. Mm-hmm. How do you ensure our Black community can trust the census individuals who went out and knocked on their doors to get some of this data to summarize that what you say will bring money back to your community?
Yes. Well, I have to tell you, having worked on the inside, the first thing is getting input into the process. Before you even go out there and knock on doors, the Census Bureau has to conduct a lot of research to determine what those issues are. So I recall I was there until 2017. I figured I could do more from an advocacy standpoint on the outside because things got a little crazy in 2016. as we all know. But you know, you have to do your research. And there was a study called the Census Bureau, Barriers, Attitudes, and Motivations that was conducted, CBAMS, to find out from different populations why people were not responding to the census, why they didn't trust it. And I found very interesting that in the Black population, we just think, you know, the research showed that we thought that if you fill out the census form, something bad is going to happen to you. That was right off the bat. That thing, government, you know, our history with the government, whether it's, you know, COVID, the Tuskegee experiment with COVID, with our reluctance to get the vaccination, or anyway, our collective historic memory about how we are treated in this country says, you know, maybe I don't want to give the government my name. Maybe I don't want to do that. And then in comes another a presidential administration that weaponized the census, the former Trump administration weaponized the census and tried to remove immigrants who didn't have status from the census count, and also interfered with a full and complete count of our vulnerable population. So much so that the National Urban League filed a suit against the census, the Trump administration, to ensure that all of us were counted. So what can you do? One of the things that the Census Bureau did was to try to hire people from the community. You know, don't send random folk out into our community asking us questions. Try to get the people who live in the community, who know the community, and who know the values and the culture to go in. That was a big thing. And then to just keep pounding away on messaging. And that's what our national organizations did, that your information is safe. We're not going to share it with law. The Census Bureau is not going to share it with law enforcement people. You're not going to get put out of your housing. You know, those kind of things, that the Census Bureau cannot share your data. Those were the key things.
Now, read some reaction yesterday that a lot of advocates were very pleased, and some of them said, we knew America was brown. That was the easy part. We knew that. But there's still some concerns. What are a few concerns that you have, just in general?
Well, you know, I'll give you some specific examples. We have to be still concerned about the accuracy of the count. Let's look at DC for an example. So according to census data, Ward 7 may have lost population in the district and did not experience the growth of other wards, for example. Well, you know, we know in DC that, you know, this is one of the top gentrified localities in the country, Washington, DC. So is the Ward 7 count, is that due to an undercount east of the river? And if you look, you know, more broadly, nationally, we know that more than a third of the Black population is located in the South, where the pandemic ran. And according to Dr. V, we listened to Dr. V, it's still running its course throughout our communities. And in the South, Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, you know, we're waiting. The National Urban League and other civil rights organizations are waiting on additional data releases from census to determine the extent of an undercount in these areas. We're also looking at predominantly Black communities in Michigan, California, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Detroit, you know, LA. So because we know that the impact of an undercounted community has significant economic and political ramifications. Over $1.5 trillion a year are allocated to local governments and state governments based on the census count. We're talking about, you know, Pell Grants. We're talking about Section 8 housing vouchers, you know, rural electricity, everything. It runs the gamut. And we also know that a good census count is all about representation, power, political power. And so those are the numbers. We're looking at these numbers to find out what that undercount is for our.
There's so many questions I have, but because of time, I have one more question. I thank you. Very interesting.
I'll be brief.
Okay. Now, forgot to mention you're a native Washingtonian as well.
I certainly am.
So you know the district inside and out, just like Mrs. Denise Rolock Barnes.
Well, I get lost going uptown sometimes, but I'm part of Southeast.
Now, I don't know if you got to see in terms of the district leads the nation in terms of the highest percentage of Blacks. I think it was 41%.
Yeah.
However, the district also led the nation. I think it was 18% increase in white. Now, what's the economy there? Can you summarize that for us, please, before you go?
So you're saying, how could we also have the highest percentage of blacks and the highest percentage of white? Well, you know, a lot now. The percentages are interesting. I'm not a statistician, but the high percentage of Black people could be a large number of the Latino population that's cutting into, the white population. That's possible. I mean, I was here when we were Chocolate City, and it was over 90% Black. So, we've seen a lot. But I'll tell you one thing that you didn't mention, and that is the percentage of adults in DC that are over 18. And what that means.
Thank you.
Okay, That's the problem. The 18 and older figure, of course, we know that the nation is aging, but we also need to understand that last census, 6.3% of all Black children were not counted in the census. So this certainly could contribute to a number that says that the 18 and older is a big, like 83.1% of the DC population is over 18. Right. And it could mean that our Black kids are not being counted. People are not, during the pandemic, we all had to come together. We had to move over. We had to scoot over. Somebody had to sleep here, in many of our communities. And maybe Black children were not counted. Maybe we didn't put everybody on. Maybe we didn't put the play cousins down on the census count. Maybe we didn't even, but we know that, I believe, we know that Black children have been undercounted increasingly in the census. And that might be why the figure that they're 83.1% of our population is 18 and over. It is a reflection possibly that that the Census Bureau did not count Black children effectively.
Wow, we can keep talking about this for hours. Ms. Jerry Green, thank you so much. Very appreciate your time. Take care now.
All right. Thank you.
Muted, Denise.
Trying to unmute myself. Thank you. That was a great conversation. I appreciate actually one of our favorite viewers, Nicole Crawford Tijuana, for actually chiming in too to say it was a good topic. I think it's great. I think we're going to be hearing more about these census numbers, and I think your questions are great as well. But particularly, it was interesting to hear Ms. Green talk about how public policy, because that's what we did the census, and so how public policy is going to impact us based on those numbers. And if we look at the $3 billion or was it trillion? I get
1.5 trillion. 1.5.
No, I'm talking about the additional money that the Congress is looking at that has a lot of programs in there that support, particularly Black and brown families, right? And I think this is a reflection of not only the need, but what we need to do to grow our community. So I hope that our viewers will continue to follow the reports about the census, and that we'll continue to report on the census numbers and how it's impacting our not only the area, but all the way down to your neighborhood.
Yeah, and that's where some of the data actually from yesterday was released in terms it goes into counties and even municipalities as well. Now there's some more data that will be released. I believe it's sometime next month. I can't remember the specific date. And I think our colleague James Wright, he mentioned that DC commission is going to be starting its work next month. Prince George's County is going to be having a meeting Monday. Matter of fact, they're going to have a meeting Monday, I believe the following Monday, and one more. So yes, we're going to be writing about census for a little bit, especially with the numbers just being released and be able to take a deeper dive into them.
Right, and redistricting, because you've been covering the governor's race, how that's going to impact the governor's race or any elections that are coming up across the state of Maryland and the District of Columbia and Virginia. Redistricting is going to be a critical issue in that conversation as well. So thank you so much for joining us, Will.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you much.
Hopefully we'll see you next week. So we mentioned the fact that this is Black Business Month, and I don't want to go there yet because I think first we want to talk about, and we will get to Michelle Carswell, who we're going to talk to about in that conversation about Black businesses. But before we go there, one of the things that we know is really impacting our community is the crime and violence that's happening. And Sherry, just to make sure I'm not missing the other piece. Okay. All right. So yeah, John, I want to bring you on now.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Nice to see you.
Likewise. Still, keeping you in prayer and condolences for the loss. I think was it your
grandson?
Yeah.
July 4th of last year.
Exactly. So now, I mean, not only have you been in the fight against violence and gun violence and what happens in our community, but you're also now, among those who've lost loved ones in the struggle. Tell me, what has the last year been like for you as you've had that experience, but also looking at what's happening in the DMV?
Well, for the last year, since my 11-year-old grandson have been murdered, it's been very busy. Not just doing the things that we normally do as guardian angels, but then again, it is the same thing. It just seemed like more people have been coming out and asking for our help, especially when their loved ones are being murdered. We've had so many young people murdered since last year, and not just young people, but we got women being murdered left and right too. I don't recall women being murdered this much since, I ain't gonna say the 90s. I don't know. It's been a long time, but every time you turn around, you see it. But what we've been doing, I tell you, Davon mother, her name is Crystal McNeil. She started a Davon Thomas Foundation, and what they would do, and we would go out and help them, is just go into the communities and start feeding the homeless people, talking to the people that's out there that's homeless, to give them ear, going and talk to other mothers that have lost their children in the streets of DC, and just trying to give them some support, because that support is needed when you lose a loved one. If you have never lost a loved one before, you don't know the pain until it happens, and you're just in pain all day, every day, wondering why this would happen to this person.
And I want to just kind of highlight the fact that Stuart Anderson, who you've worked with closely and who I've worked with, just lost his grandson as well, or granddaughter, I should say, lost his granddaughter. And so, we always talk about moms, but, their grandparents, their fathers, they all suffer the same pain that you're talking about. And I don't want to leave them out of this conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Stuart, he's the one that's always in the community. I was actually out of town when that happened, came back. I wanted to meet with him. I never got a chance to. I'm going to still reach out to him. But we talked on the phone, and you could hear the pain in his voice. He explained to me what he believed happened. And, men, we need the support just as the mothers, because we feel the pain just like everyone else, especially when you're a community activist and you're going out there, as I've been doing since 1989 in Washington, D.C. I was a baby. I was doing it at the age of 19, and people couldn't believe why I was out there doing this at that age. But I wanted to make a difference in the community. I wanted to get young people involved in doing something positive, because around 89, I was coming out of the crack cocaine era, and we still had a lot of violence going on. And my key was, if we could get young people involved in the Guardian Angel and teach them to give back to the community and try a different way in fighting crime instead of becoming criminals, we could save a lot of young people. And that's what I'm still doing to this day, still trying to save the young people by getting more young people involved in our organization and getting out, fighting crime, meeting with parents that have lost loved ones, going in communities and doing community walks and cookouts and things of that nature, but just getting young people involved. You got to get them involved, because when you don't get them involved, then negativity gonna get their attention, and that's when they wind up doing things that we don't want them to do in the community.
So tell us what the Guardian Angels are doing. I mean, you talked about feeding the homeless, and I think that's incredible. That's fantastic that you're doing that. But what is some of the work that you're doing with the young people, and why should they want to get involved with the Guardian Angels, other than the fact that you all have really cool hats?
Yes, we do, especially the ones with the pins on them. But we want people to get involved. We try to recruit them 16 and up. Some people say 16, that's kind of young. Well, I've been doing this since the age of 14. And when you get involved in an organization such as ours and you learning to do positive things, you're not going to get caught up in the negativity. You're not going to want to go out and smoke the marijuana and then go out and start robbing people and start carjacking, because you now know you are part of the solution. And that's our goal, to get them to become part of the solution by getting involved in us. Now, what do we do besides feeding the homeless? Like you said, we actually go out on the subway, and we'll go out five to seven people, and we will ride the trains. Just ride them. One angel in the car, just being a visual deterrent. Get off the trains, walk the platform, and if we see a altercation, someone being jumped, we are ones that actually are going to go in, pull people off, and try to talk to them and send them the other way. Because as you know, nowadays, that because we have cameras now, nobody want to jump in and help. They just want to film. This is my time to get my shine on YouTube, on the World Star, and that's what they're doing. But with us, we're like, no, it's not about that. We want to get these people to pull apart, go their way, because the next step, if you don't pull them away, somebody pulling out a blade, they stabbing someone, somebody may pull out a gun. We actually saw that on Anacostia probably about 3 months ago. Guy walked up to someone, gave him a hug, a kiss, and then he shot him right in the face right during the day on the Anacostia platform. This is ridiculous, in front of a whole bunch of people. So we want to be the ones to say, look, we're going to intervene. We're going to pull people apart, and we're going to report crimes. We want to be the leaders of reporting crime, because as you know, the campaign that is out is snitches get stitches. And the reason why criminals put that campaign out, so they can come out and murder people and rob people in broad daylight and know nobody's going to speak up. You know, we have to stop putting locks on the doors, pulling down the shades, and hiding behind and saying we didn't see anything. If a crime is committed, we need to report it.
In many cases, you know, we find that the perpetrators and the victims often know each other. You know, these aren't, I mean, it's unfortunately when we have the drive-bys, like with the 6-year-old that was killed over on Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. I mean, she was not an intended target, we don't believe. But it appears as though maybe her father or someone that was out there with her was the intended target, and that they may have known each other. So what are these beefs about? What is it that people are so, I mean, have you been able to kind of, put a finger on any of the things that get folks so angry to the point that they want to take somebody's life?
Well, you know, a lot of it is neighborhood beefs, and some of these beefs, people don't even know why they're fighting. They, you know, it's probably the fathers. But the ones
still doing that stuff, I thought
it's absolutely ridiculous.
What is it,
you know, but
some of whatever. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but some of the ones that do know nowadays, as I said, they don't report the crime. They believe in street justice. So when a crime is committed or a murder, and a person knows, they're not going and saying, you know what, I'm going to report it to the police. We're going to get our boys together and we're going to take care of this. And that continues the beef back and forth. One neighborhood takes the life of somebody in another one neighborhood, then they're going to retaliate and come back and forth. I'm going to admit, when this happened with my grandson last year, and people know I'm a crime fighter. They know I'm out here to stop crime. And do you believe people came to me and said, hey, we can find out who did it. You want us to take care of that? Absolutely not. If you can find out who did it, you need to let me know so I can turn the information to MPD. Now, luckily, the guys that murdered my grandson, they're locked up, all 4 of them at this time, which is great. They haven't went to trial yet because of COVID. But the thing is, the mindset of people nowadays is street justice. And that's something we have to get the mindsets to change. And we got to get the adults that know what's going on, because adults know too. Why are you not reporting it? Why are you allowing these young people, and all of them not young, because when I say all of them not young, 20 and up is not young. The guy that shot the young girl, the 6-year-old, he was 20 years old. Other adults knew who he was. We need to start reporting this crime, and y'all need to start talking to them and telling them, this is not the way to go. You're destroying DC. Get these illegal guns off the streets, and hopefully crime can go down, because police cannot do it by itself. It takes the whole village. We have to talk. We have to let people know. People that are having issues, that think they want to go out and hurt someone, if you know about it, if you don't want to report it, you need to take that young man, take him out fishing somewhere and talk to him and change his mindset and explain to him, if you do this, your life is going to be gone too. Either you're going to be murdered or you're going to jail. Do you have a 2-year-old child? Do you want that child to see you once that child become an adult? We have to talk to these people that are causing these problems to try to change their mindset.
So that's where I wanted to go, because you said we have to talk to these people. And in the case of, your grandson, 4 of them are locked up. And others, the ones, who's talking to them, right? The perpetrators who have gone through the criminal justice system. We know the lawyers are talking to them. We know the judge is talking to them. We know the bailiff, all those people, whoever, the prison guards talking to them. But who's really talking? Who's talking to them to give them a voice? Maybe even to talk to the people in the community now who are trying to, still protect them. How do we? Maybe we don't want to hear their voices, but it sounds like they have answers to some of the questions we keep asking, or that I'm asking. Is there anybody that's talking to them?
I really don't know, but I think that is an issue. When you go to jail, as people always know, you become a better criminal. You want to make it more hardcore because of where you are. The guards don't really care about you. They just there to do a job, and that's it. You might have little conversation, but it's not nothing to get into their brain to set them on that right path. That question is a good question, because we need to have somebody in the jail system that can, if they notice people that cause any kind of crime, bring them to our office once a week and just sit down and have a conversation with them and see if they can talk to them, what we call them, a therapist. And hopefully that therapist can help them in changing their mindset when they come back into the community. And I don't believe we have that right now in any of the jail system. And I could be wrong. I think another issue we have is also our prosecutors, and especially our judges. DC police, Conti and them, they're doing a great job. They out there, they are locking people up, they're closing cases. But the problem is, when people are arrested, they are released back into our community in no time, usually faster than they're back in the community before the paperwork is done. And that's a big issue too, because if a person that is a career criminal or career murderer is let back into the community, and he knows he's getting ready to go away for a long time, he's going to commit a lot more murders in the district before he is put away.
Wow. Now that's a powerful statement right there, John. Let me ask you, folks are interested in becoming a guardian angel. What do they need to do to get involved?
Well,
or to support you?
Yeah. Well, they easily just contact us. Remember, to become a guardian angel, you got to be 16 and above, male or female. Be able to put in some volunteer hours. We don't put in much now, like we used to, but you be able to put in volunteer hours and working with the community. And we would definitely need older people too, adults. I mean, I started at 19. I'm 52 years old now, and I started at 14. I've been doing it in DC since the age of 19. But we need all ages. And to get involved in the Guardian Angels, there's 2 ways. You can just give us a call, my personal cell phone, which is 202-359-0601, or they can go on to us on the email, dcguardianangels@gmail.com, or just look us up on, we have so many different social media out there. You see some came up on the board. Any of those, just come on and just say, hey, I am interested. How can I get involved? But you do have to realize you are a volunteer. We don't get paid. We're not like the violent interrupters. They get money. Yeah. Guardian Angels have never ever received one brown penny from the District of Columbia to go out there and help fight crime and do what they do. And you know, I've been out there a long time. You knew me, Denise, since I was one of the young ones before we started the peace walks, when they stopped it because they said it was too cold for Marion Barry to do his marches. You came out, me and you was out there. You know, you knew me a long time. All that time, we never received any money from the government. Most of the funding we get from ourselves. I mean, I think that needs to change soon too. We need to start getting some money because we are out there. We've proven ourselves for years, and what we do work. What we do work.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. And you know, there's a lot of money floating around out there right now. So I would say, you know, go ahead and put that application in somewhere. Start talking to folks because there's a lot of money floating around for people who can actually help to make our community safe. And you all have a track record of showing that. So it shouldn't be difficult, but, you know, let us know how we can help.
If anybody out there that knows how to write that paper and help, hey, come see me because I don't know how to do it. I fight crime. I don't know how to do paperwork.
I got you. That's a great appeal. And hopefully folks will respond. John, I want to thank you so very, very much for being with us today and for all the work that you all do. Let the team know that we certainly do support or appreciate, you know, what you all do on behalf of the community. And just keep up the great work and please stay safe.
Okay, thank you.
All righty, thank you. So we're going to keep rolling here. Sherry actually went to cover the opening of Mahogany Books over at National Harbor. And it's, you know, I can't walk into a bookstore without buying a book. I discovered one when I was in Durham, North Carolina. I went in there, bought a couple of books this weekend. But, you know, I had to tell them my favorite bookstore is Mahogany Books, and they certainly were quite aware of Mahogany. Sherry, let's share with our viewers what you enjoyed on last Saturday.
Hi, we're Derek and Ramonda Young. We are the owners of Mahogany Books right here in Prince George's County and in Washington, D.C. But we're really excited about today. We are standing on the steps of our grand opening here at the at National Harbor in Prince George's County. And we're just excited because this is another space where people can access Black books. And that's very important to us. A lot of times we don't realize how important our struggles, our journeys, our joys are. And to see them on the pages of books means so much to us as adults, but also as kids. So this space and having a bookstore here in National Harbor in Prince George's County is bigger than us. It's for our kids. It's for the generation after us to know just how important they are. And reading them on the pages of books shows that. So we're excited to be here in Prince George's County. We're excited to be here at National Harbor. And we're excited to make Black books accessible to the community and beyond right here. So that's what we're celebrating today, the opening of our new store. I get excited.
Nothing much more I can add to that. So we're just excited to be here. Again, I'm from Prince George's County, born in Southeast DC, raised here in Prince George's County, graduate of Suitland High School at Bowie State University, and just to be able to bring this store to Prince George's County, again, to be able to make the books accessible to people, the same way they were made accessible to me, is very important. It's something that means a lot that we can give back as it was given to us. So we just want to, encourage people to come out. We understand the importance of the cultural arts and that representation and seeing yourself in pages, on the screen, in pictures, whatever it is. And we just want you to know that you are important. Your story, your voice, your history, your heritage is very important. And we want to make sure that you get access to that here at Mahogany.
Wow, thanks for sharing that, Sherry. And I cannot wait. I'm going to be out there this weekend. I'm going to go because I got to buy me I don't know why, but I just love to buy books. And you know what I've been doing lately, and this might be an idea for some of you all. I just buy children's books. And then if I find a young person that drops by my office or I see them somewhere, I give them a book. Isn't that a great gift? At least I think it is. So hopefully I'll see you all out at Mahogany Books. Make sure you check them out and know that they're also still here on Good Hope Road in Southeast DC. So support Mahogany Books, support Black businesses. And I want you to be able to also support our next guest, who is Michelle Carswell, owner of Morgan Rell's Cake and Baking Supply store. Michelle, thank you so very much for your patience and for being with us. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Thank you for having me. So tell us, where are you located?
We are located at 4471 Nicole Drive, Unit C, and we are in Lanham, Maryland. We are located inside of Roll Up Warehouse. Roll Up House is about 20 businesses just inside of here. So we have people that do all kinds of things. Yes, so that's where we are located.
Wow, sounds like a location, a destination, a place to come and just kind of float around with and visit a bunch of businesses there.
Yeah, you can definitely do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, how did you, like I said, people are baking and they're selling cupcakes and cookies and you name it. But we often forget about the fact that you need utensils and supplies to make those things happen. How did you discover that this was a business worth pursuing?
I started making treats about 3 years ago. And there's a need in this area. There were no baking supply stores in Prince George's County, Maryland. So having to wait for shipments to come in or having to drive an hour away from home, I just said, it's a need. It's definitely a need. So I looked into it. I took some classes and I said, I want to do this. I have that entrepreneurial spirit. I used to own a hair salon and bookstore. So I said, you know what? It's time. It's time. And I just jumped and I did it. And I'm so blessed and I'm so thankful. I've been able to meet some amazing treat makers and bakers. We're offering classes. We're going to be offering local delivery as well as we'll be shipping out. So I am excited about this venture here.
So one of the things that I would think about when you're putting together a store like this is inventory, right? And so, making sure you have everything plus that bakers would want. So I can imagine, measuring cups and spoons and that sort of thing are the simple items. But what were some of the more complex things that you said, oh, we've got to have because bakers need this?
With bakers and treat makers, it's a lot of little things. So things like gel food color and silicone molds and flavors and bags and cake boxes and oh my gosh, it's so much stuff. Candy apple sticks and pretzels and just you name it. It's so much.
Right.
It's so much. And we're still getting inventory in. We definitely have a lot here. We're still getting inventory in. We're getting geared up for the holidays. So, we're ready.
And I keep saying bakers and you keep making sure that you say treat makers. So distinguish the difference.
So treat makers make, and I started out as a treat maker, candy apples, caramel apples, chocolate covered pretzels and Rice Krispie treats, chocolate covered Oreos with the pictures on them. As we know, food is love. So for somebody to get a cookie or a cupcake or a cake that has their picture on it or their name on it, those are things that we remember, so to see these people come in here and purchase these products and we discuss their ideas and things that they're going to be doing and they do it with such love, because we want to create memories for people.
That's wonderful. And then for the for the newbies, for those who decide, well, I think I want to do this, or at least I just want to bake something because I've never done it before. What do you have classes, you said, or do you give advice?
We have a young lady that will be doing our first class on Saturday, August 21st. So I would say invest in your craft, invest in your business, take the trainings, the tutorials. A lot of times people want things for free, but sometimes we have to spend money to make money, and practice and come see me. I have everything you need here.
I love it.
But not open to just treat makers and bakers. We are open to the general public. So if you want to bake treats with your grandkids, with your husband, or with your girlfriends, come see me.
So tell me, I mean, how long have you been there? And I mean, how long have you been open? And how have you seen your business grow? I mean, you're doing this in the midst of COVID. Of course, a lot of people are baking, which is good. But how has your business grown since you started?
Well, we're very new. We had our soft opening July 10th.
Okay.
So this is very new. I'm in everybody's inbox. If I know that you're a treat maker or a baker, I'm sending the message out. You know, I'm blessed to have, you know, you all are giving me this opportunity. So I'm, you know, word of mouth. I'm out here hustling, getting these customers, and they're coming, and they are coming. You know, they're coming, and it's such a blessing.
Wonderful.
You know,
So I know I saw your mom creeping around in there a little earlier when we were talking. Who's helping you in the store? In the store?
My
there
mom.
She is. That's her back there.
My mom is here, and my good friend Rhonda is here. Come on over, Rhonda. They being shot. I had surgery on Monday, so I'm here. Yeah, and they've been here holding it down for me while I right. So and my nephews, my sister's son and husband, and they've been a blessing to me.
Good.
They are my angels. Yes.
Well, I know I should be in there myself. A few years ago, I tried my hand of making a pound cake from scratch. I think the weight of it ended up being about 10 pounds.
Come on in, we'll talk about it.
It was not the best. So yeah, help. But that's so glad that you're there. What are your hours?
We are open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We're closed Mondays. Yeah.
All right. And I don't know if Sherry's put up the website and phone number, but we certainly want to make sure that folks have that as well. Okay. And, you know, that they can tell us about the name too, Morgan Rels.
Oh, Morgan Rels was birthed. That name came from my daughter, Morgan, my sister, Sherelle, who both have passed away. So Morgan Rels, and they're my angels.
Wonderful.
They got me.
What's your dream for the store?
Gosh, like I said, to offer classes. We're going to be offering edible image printing. To expand, this right here is our beginning, but it won't be the ending.
Okay.
No. So
wonderful. Well, in order for that to happen, we have to be in there. So and we really appreciate you coming to talk to us and to share what you're doing over there. It sounds fantastic. Even that wall back there looks edible.
My mom painted that wall. Yes,
it does.
Opportunity. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, it's a pleasure. Thank you so very much for joining us. And we hope to send you some business your way.
I look forward to seeing everybody come out.
Okay. All righty. Have a good one. Okay. No, it's really, really great. I tell you, we are doing it. And we certainly enjoy sharing it with our viewers here at WIN TV. And we've run over, but we still want you to kind of hang with us because we're going to bring Bridge TV on next, of course, with what's going on with the media prints. And of course, our favorite segment, Sounds of the DMV. Until then, I want you all to have a safe weekend. Stay cool. Drink plenty of water. I think we'll have a cooler week next week. But in the meantime, we're looking forward to joining you next Friday right here, 12 noon, for Washington Informer's WIN TV. Have a great week. See you soon.
So this week is definitely giving oven. It's been greatness nonetheless, and I'm excited to share it all with you. New drink outlets, new COVID precautions, and Michael Jordan just casually walking through the DMV. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to What's Going On, DC. I'm your boy, the Media Prince. Let's get straight into everything trending here. First up, DC's own lethal shooter is heading to Tokyo to take on the Vival robot in the 3-point shootout. And guess what? The prize is $1 million. Will he take it all? Take a look and tell us what you think.
Yo, man, I heard you shooting against this robot in Tokyo for $1 million. For $1 million? $1 million. Bro, you nice, but man, look at that. That's a robot. He don't miss. That's full court. For $1 million, I'm not going to miss either. I mean, that's full court. Make sure you bet on Mankind. Okay, Dr. Robotnik, okay.
While on the subject of shooting baskets, take a look at the epicness of DC's son, Jimmy Jenkins.
Oh!
Y'all tired of seeing basketball yet? Good. Here's another one. Check out who will be wearing what numbers on the new season for the Washington Wizards. Congratulations to DMV's own Dion Deasy of Sirius XM. He was just named one of Billboard's R&B and hip-hop power players alongside the Sway Calloway. Let's clap it up for these kings. So word on the street is cholesterol drugs cuts coronavirus infection by record percentages. That's right, 70%. Let me hit up my family members with high cholesterol. Sharing is caring. While on the subject of COVID, look at DC's new mandate. Well, you know September 19th is like down the street, right? Well, is it giving vaccine or unemployment? Let's keep the corona news going. Check out this new clip that has us all here in the DMV going like, what?
And this is sort of cool. Scientists at the Pentagon are developing a microchip that can detect viruses in the blood, including COVID-19. The chip would be inserted just under the skin and alert the user if the coronavirus is present in their system. The military has not said.
I knew it was coming.
Has been deployed.
Sounds like the mark of the beast to me, but y'all don't hear me though. DC's own actress Regina Hall for Health magazine. And my guy Derek Blanks is so damn dynamic with the lens. So there's a new bar crawl coming to the DMV and it's called District of Casamigos. But I'll fill you more in on that next week. DMV's own Rico Nasty just released her very own Cocoa Nuts. You know, the chocolate that looks just like marijuana. Rico Nasty right now is our shining star. Take a look at why.
Can't have it. You can get it all cause I give it all. If I'm feeling down, you won't let me fall. No matter where I'm at, you know you can call. No matter what you did, you can't pick me off. Oh, not at all. No, not at all. I've been through a lot, no I'm...
Rico will also be one of the featured performers on 95 Live Festival this weekend, presented by WDC. The Washington football team officially bans fans from wearing Native American garments and face paint. Imagine minding your business and the goat just walks past you. Well, the residents of Ocean City got just that when Mr. Space Jam himself, the Michael Jordan, walked past. Take a look. Can you believe it's been 11 years since Wale's More About Nothing mixtape? We're old, right? Well, what were some of your favorite tracks? I know mine were The Suit, The Number One, The Power, The Breeze. Man, the whole damn thing. But we want to hear from you. Let us know what your favorites were. Well, that's it, folks. Until next week, we are headed out. For all this and more, head over to wibridgedc.com to read up on and to catch up on all the Bridge greatness. Make sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube and hit the hashtags WGODC and WIBridge TMP style. Okay? Signing off until next week.